Bugatti SUV concept. When the unattainable faces the inevitable. For more than a century, Bugatti has represented a singular idea in the automotive world. The unattainable. Not just expensive, not just fast, but fundamentally unreachable. From the legendary Type 57 to the record-shattering Veyron and the era-defining Chiron, Bugatti has never chased trends. It has existed above them. Its cars have always been low-slung, high-speed sculptures, machines that looked less like products and more like manifestations of excess ambition. They were not designed to fit into society. They were designed to exist beyond it. That philosophy was perhaps best captured by Ettore Bugatti himself, who famously said, "If comparable, it is no longer Bugatti." And for decades, that statement held absolute truth. Until now, the SUV era, when even the gods adapt. Today, the automotive world is dominated by a reality that would have once seemed unthinkable. The super SUV. Ferrari has the Purosangue. Lamborghini has the Urus. Rolls-Royce has the Cullinan. Brands that once swore allegiance to purity, elegance, or tradition have all crossed the same threshold. Not because they wanted to, but because the market demanded it. Which brings us to a radical and deeply controversial design study. The Bugatti SUV concept. This is not just another addition to the luxury SUV conversation. This is a philosophical rupture. Because if Bugatti builds an SUV, the question is no longer how fast it will be. The question becomes far more uncomfortable. Does this make Bugatti comparable? First impressions, identity without apology. Look at the front fascia of the Bugatti SUV concept, and one thing becomes immediately clear. There is no confusion about the badge. The iconic horseshoe grille remains the centerpiece, enlarged and rescaled for a high-riding platform. It dominates the front end with the same ceremonial authority seen on Bugatti's hypercars. This is not a borrowed design language. It is unmistakably Bugatti. Flanking the grille is the now familiar 8i LED headlight signature, a direct nod to the Chiron and the newer Tourbillon. This lighting arrangement maintains continuity with the brand's lineage, anchoring the concept firmly in Bugatti's visual DNA. At a glance, this is reassuring. But look closer, and the contradictions begin. Aerodynamics versus reality, the brick problem. Bugatti vehicles are engineered to exceed 400 kilometers per hour. Every surface, curve, and channel exists for a singular purpose: managing airflow at impossible speeds. An SUV, by nature, is the enemy of that philosophy. It is tall. It is wide. It is aerodynamically inefficient. The Bugatti SUV concept attempts to solve this conflict through aggression rather than elegance. Massive carbon fiber air intakes carve into the bodywork, feeding air where it's needed. A front splitter juts forward with the confidence of a Le Mans prototype, signaling that this vehicle is not meant to crawl rocks. It is meant to dominate highways. The design is almost brutalist. Hard edges replace flowing curves. Flat surfaces replace organic lines. This is a Bugatti that doesn't whisper superiority, it demands clearance. But this raises a critical question. Can true elegance survive at this scale? A shift in design language, from sculpture to weapon. Recent Bugatti models have emphasized fluidity. Their lines flow seamlessly, as though carved by wind itself. They invite admiration from a distance, commanding respect through grace rather than intimidation. The SUV concept abandons that approach entirely. This is a machine defined by sharp industrial edges and aggressive volumes. It doesn't ask to be admired. It orders the world to move aside. This is not a car you photograph in silence. This is a car you feel approaching. And while that energy aligns with modern luxury trends, it represents a profound departure from what Bugatti has historically been. The powertrain question, where physics fights pride. Perhaps the greatest mystery surrounding a Bugatti SUV lies beneath its long, sculpted hood. Bugatti recently unveiled the Tourbillon with a 1,800 horsepower naturally aspirated V16, a mechanical monument to excess and defiance in an era of downsizing. The immediate question becomes obvious. Could such an engine exist in an SUV? The honest answer is probably not. A pure V16 SUV would be a mechanical nightmare. The cooling requirements alone would be staggering. Managing heat from 16 cylinders in a vertical engine bay, while maintaining reliability and drivability, would push even Bugatti's engineering to the edge of reason. Physics, unlike brand identity, does not negotiate. The likely compromise: hybridization without shame. Speculation suggests that a production-ready Bugatti utility vehicle would rely on a high-output hybrid V8 system. Such a setup would provide immense torque, essential for moving a 3-ton luxury Titan, while allowing engineers to keep the center of gravity as low as possible. Electric torque fill would mask mass, improve responsiveness, and meet modern regulatory realities. From a technical perspective, this makes perfect sense. From an emotional perspective, it feels like heresy. Putting anything less than 16 cylinders into a Bugatti feels like a compromise. But in the context of an SUV, compromise may be unavoidable. This is the moment where pride meets practicality. Rear design, polarization as a feature. Move to the rear, and the Bugatti SUV concept becomes truly divisive. A full-width segmented LED light bar stretches across the back, echoing the signature C-line curves found along the sides of the vehicle. It's modern, dramatic, and unmistakably high-tech. Below it sits a massive rear diffuser housing quad exhaust outlets, a clear declaration that this vehicle is not interested in off-road credibility. This is a machine built for speed, stability, and dominance on open highways. Think Autobahn, not trail. Yet above all of this, the roofline tells a different story. The coupe SUV conflict, style versus purpose. The Bugatti SUV concept adopts a coupe-style roofline. Visually, it looks fast. Emotionally, it feels dramatic. Practically, it undermines the very idea of an SUV. Rear headroom suffers. Cargo space shrinks. Rear visibility becomes compromised. This exposes the core contradiction of the entire concept. This is a vehicle marketed as utility that offers almost none. It exists not to carry people or gear, but to carry status. Utility as symbolism, not function. This Bugatti SUV does not pretend to be versatile. It is not designed to climb mountains or cross deserts. It is not meant for practicality. It is a monument to engineering excess. A daily driver, not for convenience, but for confidence. Which leads to the unavoidable question: why would Bugatti even consider building this? The real reason: economics of the extreme. The answer is brutally simple: profit. Ferrari's Purosang has a waiting list stretching years. Lamborghini's Urus nearly doubled the company's total sales. For Bugatti, an SUV is not about racing heritage. It is about funding the future. An ultra-luxury SUV could finance the next generation of hypercars, machines that will continue to push the limits of speed, engineering, and exclusivity. This SUV would not dilute Bugatti's ambitions. It would bankroll them. Price, exclusivity, and the 1% of the 1%. If the Bugatti SUV entered production, it would not compete on price. It would redefine it. Estimates place the cost north of $4 million. It wouldn't just be the fastest SUV. It would be the most expensive. This is a vehicle for someone who already owns multiple Chirons. Someone who wants a Bugatti they can actually drive to dinner without scraping carbon fiber on every pebble. The ultimate daily driver for the 0.1%. A brand at a crossroads. This design exploration places Bugatti at a moment of existential tension. Is this a masterpiece of industrial design, or a betrayal of the brand's founding philosophy? At its best, the concept feels like a weaponized expression of Bugatti's excess. Unapologetic, brutal, undeniably Bugatti. At its worst, it risks becoming something dangerously close to a very expensive mall crawler. Bugatti SUV concept, evolution, erosion, or the price of staying untouchable. The Bugatti SUV concept is not just a design exercise. It is a stress test. A test of how far a brand built on absolutes can bend without breaking. A test of whether exclusivity can expand without dissolving. A test of whether the unattainable can survive contact with demand. If Part 1 examined what this vehicle is, Part 2 must confront what it costs, philosophically, culturally, and strategically. Because once a brand like Bugatti crosses a line, there is no uncrossing it. The market reality, demand has already decided. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. The market wants this. Not hypothetically, not eventually. Now, Ferrari's Purosang proved that buyers will accept, enthusiastically, an SUV from a brand once defined by low-slung performance machines. Lamborghini's Urus didn't just succeed. It transformed the company's financial structure. Rolls-Royce's Cullinan became its best-selling model almost overnight. These vehicles didn't dilute their brands. They stabilize them. Bugatti operates in a far rarer stratum, but the pattern remains the same. Ultra-wealthy buyers want vehicles they can actually use. They want ground clearance. They want visibility. They want comfort. And they want all of that without surrendering status. The Bugatti SUV concept exists because that demand has reached critical mass. Ignoring it would not preserve purity. It would risk irrelevance. Exclusivity versus expansion. The tightrope Bugatti must walk. Bugatti's greatest asset has never been speed alone. It has been scarcity. The knowledge that most people will never see one in person, let alone own one. The fear among collectors that missing a model might mean missing history itself. An SUV threatens that dynamic. Not because it would be common, but because it would be less rare than a hypercar. This is the paradox Bugatti must navigate. Expand too much, and the aura weakens. Expand too little, and the opportunity vanishes. The solution, if one exists, lies in radical limitation. This SUV cannot be a volume product. It cannot be a gateway Bugatti. It must remain brutally exclusive. Limited production, extreme pricing, customization bordering on obsession. Only then does the brand survive the expansion intact. The buyer profile, who this vehicle is really for. This is not a first Bugatti. It is not even a second. The Bugatti SUV targets a buyer who already owns multiple hypercars, likely including several from Bugatti itself. This is someone whose garage contains vehicles they admire but rarely drive. For this buyer, the SUV is not a compromise. It is liberation. It allows daily use without daily inconvenience. It allows presence without fragility. It allows dominance without sacrifice. This customer does not care whether the SUV is true to Bugatti's racing past. They care whether it feels inevitably superior. Engineering as theater, making mass disappear. If this SUV ever reaches production, its success will hinge on one thing above all else. Illusion. The illusion that weight doesn't exist. The illusion that physics can be negotiated. The illusion that size does not equal clumsiness. This will require technology at the edge of feasibility. Active suspension systems capable of predicting body movement before it happens. Rear-wheel steering calibrated not for agility, but for confidence. Hybrid systems delivering torque instantly, masking inertia. This would not be driving engagement in the traditional sense. It would be command. The driver would not feel connected to the road. They would feel elevated above it. And that is exactly what this buyer wants. The emotional conflict, when identity feels threatened. For enthusiasts, this concept is uncomfortable. Bugatti has always been a brand of extremes, but focused extremes. Speed, precision, singular purpose. An SUV feels diffuse. It introduces utility where there was once obsession, versatility where there was once absolutism. That discomfort is real and justified, because brands like Bugatti are not owned by their shareholders alone. They are emotionally owned by history, mythology, and the people who revere them. An SUV risks rewriting that mythology. Comparable versus unattainable, the Ettore Bugatti test. Return to the quote that defines everything. If comparable, it is no longer Bugatti. This is the lens through which the SUV must be judged. Would a Bugatti SUV be comparable to a Cullinan? To a Purosangue? To an Urus? On price, no. On performance, likely no. On exclusivity, absolutely not. But comparison doesn't live only in numbers. It lives in category. Once Bugatti occupies the SUV space, it shares mental real estate with other luxury SUVs, no matter how extreme it becomes. That is the true risk. Not performance dilution, but conceptual proximity. Why this still might work, Bugatti's unique advantage. And yet, Bugatti is not Ferrari. It is not Lamborghini. It is not Rolls-Royce. Bugatti exists in a rarefied realm where excess is not a flaw. It is the point. A Bugatti SUV would not aim to be elegant. It would not aim to be graceful. It would aim to be too much. Too wide. Too powerful. Too expensive. Too uncompromising. And paradoxically, that might preserve its identity. Because no one buys Bugatti for moderation. The Cullinan comparison, a warning and a blueprint. Rolls-Royce faced a similar dilemma. The Cullinan was criticized before launch as an absurd idea. Today, it is a pillar of the brand's modern success. Why? Because Rolls-Royce didn't pretend the Cullinan was something it wasn't. It wasn't a sports SUV. It wasn't an off-roader. It was a palace on stilts. Bugatti must adopt the same honesty. This SUV cannot pretend to be practical. It must be unapologetically excessive. Only then does it feel authentic. The financial imperative, funding the impossible. There is a practical reality that cannot be ignored. Bugatti's hypercars are engineering loss leaders. They exist to push boundaries, not to generate consistent profit. An SUV changes that equation. It creates a revenue stream capable of funding the next generation of impossibilities. The next engine architecture. The next record. The next moment that reminds the world why Bugatti exists at all. Without that funding, the brand risks stagnation. Final verdict: necessary heresy or strategic genius. So what is the Bugatti SUV concept? A betrayal? A masterpiece? A mistake? A necessity? The honest answer is all of the above. It is heretical, but intelligently so. It is controversial, but strategically sound. It is dangerous, but potentially essential. This concept does not diminish Bugatti's legacy. It challenges it. And perhaps that is the only way a brand built on defiance can survive in a world that demands adaptability. The Bugatti SUV does not make the brand ordinary. It forces Bugatti to redefine what extraordinary means. Whether that redefinition strengthens the myth or fractures it will depend on one thing: how fiercely Bugatti protects its refusal to be comparable. Because the moment that disappears, it is no longer Bugatti.